from Belgium to Marseille, Leverkusen to Paris and Baku to Barcelona. It has been a memorable Champions League adventure, but that was brought to a resounding halt in the round of 16 second leg last night at Camp Nou as Barcelona ran out deserved winners as they crushed us 7-2 on the night and 8-3 on aggregate. It was triggered by Kieran Trippier's foul on Raphinha deep into first half stoppage time, and after Lamine Yamal converted his penalty, it brought about some of the most wretched defending ever seen on a football pitch. So I'm going to pick through the bones of that resounding defeat today, what that means for the rest of the season ahead of the derby on Sunday, and what it means for the squad. So stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Magnificent Mags channel on this Thursday afternoon. It's a beautiful day here down at Tyne-Wear Boating Lake. I'll just spin you around there. I've came down here for some fresh air and reflection because wow, yeah, that result in the end, it was embarrassing. Let's be honest. Look, I still have a sense of pride. I'll explain why after. And it's mainly because of how far we've progressed as a club and what this squad have achieved in the last 4 seasons. But yeah, you can't dress that up as anything but embarrassing. It could have been double figures last night, even if it wasn't for Aaron Ramsdale, despite him conceding 7 goals. But he wasn't helped out by his defence in front of him. They had a torrid time all night. And yeah, Barcelona flexed their muscles and they showed where we are on the food chain and why they are favourites to win this season's Champions League. I'd even put them up there with Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, despite them playing a high line. But you know what? This is how quick elite level football can change. It's bonkers that after the first leg last week, we felt disappointed to be going away, only getting a draw against Barcelona, because we deserved to win that game. Walked away feeling down, but not out, because we felt, look, we still needed to score at the Camp Nou, which we did twice, thanks to Anthony Elanga. But yeah, it's just, this is the levels, it's the fine margins at this level of the game that Barcelona can just ramp up between 4 and 5 gears and just take the game away from you. We came away from last week's first leg just thinking that was so unlucky. And we came into last night's game with such optimism, we did. Like, I was bouncing. Like, I know people would say in hindsight, you'd want to play Chelsea now because we beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge prior to this game. And you're thinking, should we have played them now? But no, you wanted the glamour tie. You wanted to play Barcelona. There was no doubt about last night's result. I mean, that shows what Barcelona can do. I'm sure they have played, what's it, maybe 15 to 20 games. Don't quote us the exact figures, but they've played about 15 to 20 games since the return to Camp Nou. It's not finished yet, obviously, after the redevelopment, but I'm sure they've scored something like 3+ goals in at least half of those games. They can do that, anyone. They can just pull the game away from you when you're lulled into a false sense of security that you can go and get something and get a memorable result. And would have played Atletico Madrid. But yeah, it just is what it is, and that ground isn't redeveloped. I've been there, I wasn't there last night, but I've been to Camp Nou. I went in 2016, nearly 10 years ago with my mates, and I went on a lad's holiday, and we went there and watched them play Granada. And that ground, when it was like obviously the 100,000 back then, it's intimidating. It can suck you in. And even as a neutral back then, watching them play Granada, obviously I've admired Barca for years, and I was buzzing when we drew them because it's such a glamour tie. The big club, the players who played for them, Messi, Suarez, Neymar, Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Figo, just the list is endless. And I wanted to play Barcelona. It's just, even with the ground not developed fully yet, that's what Barcelona can do. And they just took the game from it, and it was all triggered by Kieran Trippier's foul on Raphinha in the box. And it was a stonewall foul. We thought it at the time. But you know what? I was sitting there with the lads. We watched it in the gutter, and we just went, look, psychological edge, what Andy Gray used to say when he was commentating in the 90s on the Premier League. Psychological edge, getting it at the break. If we go in playing so well, taking it to Barcelona at a stadium like Camp Nou, where they haven't lost yet and only drew one of those games, and the rest are wins, that is such a psychological boost for us. But yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Kieran Trippier made a silly foul. I don't think Raphinha was even getting to the cross from Fermin Lopez, but it is what it is. And then it's like we're a rabbit in headlights, a deer in headlights, whatever you want to call it, second half, and we just collapsed. We collapsed like a deck of cards in a gust. Honestly, it was just, it felt embarrassing. You felt this could be a record Champions League defeat. Fortunately, if you can call conceding 7 goals fortunate, it's the joint worst record by an English club. The last one I think was around October 2019 when Spurs lost 7-2 to Bayern Munich. But yeah, it felt like it could have been double figures last night. That's Barcelona's attacking talent. Yet, in that first half, you felt like not only could both teams score, you felt both teams could concede, because our game plan was go man for man, go against their high line, get them behind with pace, power, pressing, aggression. But then it made us also think, how long can we keep that up for? Because you know Barca's attacking talent, not only can we keep it up going this way, can we keep them out at the other end? Because Dan Burn had the shot early on, didn't he? He swiveled and turned on his right foot after Malik Chow's header, knocked it down. But yeah, Barcelona then went up the other end. Lamine Yamal sent Malik Chow to the Sagrada Familia. He'd done him with a brilliant 180 turn. Played it through, Chow slipped. Lewis Hall tried to intercept it, he slipped. It came just past Raphinha to Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez was then on a 2v1 against Tonali. Tonali didn't have a chance, played it back to Raphinha, and then into the bottom right-hand corner of Ramsdale's goal with his left foot. But you know what? We then responded. It was an excellent response from we. Bonds played it down the line to Lewis Hall and left. He was deep on the left wing, but then he played it straight across the face of goal. And then there was Anthony Elanga, who just managed to lift it over Joan Garcia. It was a great finish, and you know what? It's such a shame that Anthony Elanga, after the first 15 minutes, getting a couple of goals, paying something back towards his £55 million fee, but it's overshadowed by Barcelona's 7 goals. He won't be talked about. But he has excelled better in Europe, I must say. But then Barcelona had other chances. There was one where Tonali slipped the way through. Ramsdale made a good one-on-one save when he came out of his goal. But then within 3 minutes, Barcelona went up the other end and got a second goal, and that's what they're capable of. Joe Linton gave away a free kick. I think it was rather unnecessary. He would have missed the quarterfinals because he got booked, but obviously that's null and void now. We're not there. And yeah, free kick was floated in by Raphinha. It wasn't even that difficult to defend. Came to the back post. Gerard Martin managed to peel away from Kieran Trippier and Sergio Tonali, headed back across goal, and there was Marc Bernal for a simple tap-in. Dan Burn was remonstrating at his defence, saying, what's going on, why allowed this to happen? But replay showed Dan Burn was the one who played them all on. He dropped a bit too deep. And then they had another chance, Barcelona, to go ahead. But then Newcastle responded again, and it was Elanga again. Lamine Yamal, and it was a game littered with individual errors. He'd done a ridiculous back heel, came straight to Lewis Hall. Hall played it through to Bonds, who'd made a little run in the half space on the left. Bonds got it, held the ball up a little bit, and then managed to dig out across the back post for Anthony Elanga to tap into an open net. And you know what? We went through the rest of that half really troubling them. Not many teams will go to the Camp Nou and play like that. We were brave on the ball, we're pressing, going man for man, playing high against Barcelona's attacking threat, which is always a threat the other way. It was just then that key moment that changed the entire complexion of the game. I nearly said perplexion, but that's how I felt watching the second half. It was so frustrating. It was great by Lamine Yamal, by the way, outside of the foot pass behind Lewis Hall to Fermin Lopez. He hit it across goal. I don't think Raphinha was getting there. I said it to the lads at the time. But then Kieran Trippier unnecessarily pulls back on Raphinha, and then Barcelona get the penalty. Trippier was lucky. I don't know why he didn't get red card. I don't know if it was any of this double jeopardy. I don't know if they thought that maybe he wasn't getting it like I thought, so that's why they didn't book him. But he was fortunate to stay on the pitch, and while Ramsdale went the right way, I don't think Ramsdale, I must say, could have done much about any of the goals, just maybe got a bit close at the penalty. Maybe a bit of no man's land when Lewandowski beat Livramento in the air, but other than that, I don't think Ramsdale was done any favours by his defence. He kept it in single figures, to be honest, the scoreline. It could have been 9 or 10. But yeah, he went the right way, got a couple of fingertips to it, but the power really beat it, and that was Barcelona going at 3-2. But you know what? I'm sure if you were watching this and you're one of the 3,000 fans in the away and there's other 7,000 watching it in Barcelona, anyone like us back home, I'm sure you would have thought, you know what, we're not out of this game. We're not out of this game whatsoever. We've played well, we've competed, and look, like, it's only a 1-goal deficit when still get at Barcelona, and I feel like whatever happened at half-time, if Eddie Howe told them more of the same, unless, like I thought, like I said in the first half, I was like, how long can we keep this up going that way? Well, yeah, we just collapsed. And it was just such a simple ball through. Lewis Hall was in the centre, and Fermin Lopez was being tracked by Tonali, but it was just one ball forward, And then in there, the excellent Raphinha. Quick 1-2 in the centre. Took Lewis Hall out to play. Sandro Tonali, who went off with a thigh injury, is now a doubt for the derby. He was chasing shadows. And then straight through on goal was Fermin Lopez, and he just slotted it past Aaron Ramsdale. In Barcelona, this is what I mean, where they can go into 4th, 5th and 6th gear quickly. They just blitzed her. They took the game away from her. And they scored 3 goals in 10 minutes. Because then that was 4-2, and then Raphinha, who was excellent all night, by the way, because he was, honestly, I'll come on to him, but his corner came in. That's where I felt Ramsdale might have been a bit in no man's land, but then Livramento was beaten far too easily at the far post in the air by Lewandowski, who's been quiet in the previous 2 games against her, but he showed there's still life in the old dog yet. And yeah, just headed it in, and then that's like, right, can we just shut up shop? We're out of this now. Don't let it get embarrassing. But it got further embarrassing because there was a great ball through by Lamine Yamal, Malik Chow, who had an absolute mare, if I can get my words out, all night. Completely got stuck under his feet. He was like this, looking around, didn't know where the ball was, completely lost in his own thoughts. I think that's just what I mean by rabbit in headlights or deer in headlights against Barcelona. That's what that stadium and team can do to you. It can feel like it's swollen you up. And yeah, Lewandowski, he didn't need a second invitation, and he was through, and he just slotted it past Ramsdale. And then Barcelona gave her a bit of a reprieve for a small period of time, didn't they? But then they added a 7th, and it was just dreadful. I mean, tired, lazy pass. I don't know what Jacob Ramsey was doing. He tried to loft the ball, switch it in front of his own box, and it just went straight to Raphinha. And Raphinha, like Lewandowski, didn't need a second invitation, and he just slotted it past Ramsdale. And like I said, I'll come on to Raphinha. He was excellent, the ex-Leeds man. He started the scoring, he ended the scoring, he won the penalty, and he got 2 assists. He was outstanding. Lamine Yamal, because Lamine Yamal was pocketed by Lewis Hall in the first leg. Well, Lewis Hall didn't have an answer to him last night, neither did the rest of the team. There was that chance where he drifted in from the left, and then it came to Raphinha. It was just before the penalty, and Raphinha took a shot, Ramsdale saved it, and then somehow from the rebound, Yamal blasted it over the bar. But there was also the let-off where Chow, again, he was terrible. He slipped dawdling on the halfway line, and they went through. It was played to Lewandowski, and Dan Burn got an excellent block, and then a subsequent header quickly got up to stop Lewandowski from scoring. But yeah, it was all in vain in the end. Lamine Yamal put with players in knots. Raphinha, man of the match for me, he was excellent. Lewandowski, clinical striker, Chaston in the evening. It just showed you the gulf in class between the 2 teams, that we've still got such a massive gap to bridge if we want to compete at this level and do anything in the Champions League, because we were in that tie until half time, and then just before the break, like I said, the psychological edge, Barcelona got the killer blow with defence, and the rest of the team, they just didn't see the ball. Harvey Barnes was involved in our 2 goals, but he never saw it afterwards. Anthony Gordon was full of running, pressing, worried their defence, but he was just anonymous second half as well. We brought on Sven Botman to go to a back 5, because we went man for man to start the game. But yeah, the game was over and done with, but it just shows you though. So what I mean, what I want to say is why I'm proud, despite an absolute hammering, is this squad for the past 4 seasons, some of them have came in and they were designed to keep us up, and they went again and again without being to spend in windows because of overspending to begin with to keep us up. Ashley never brought any sponsorships in, so we've been playing catch up in terms of revenue. We're about 7th in terms of revenue and wages. So that's, if we finish 7th this season and get Europa Conference or Europa League, depending on where teams finish, that's probably par for the course. That's where we are. We could maybe finish 6th above Villa. They're in the same bracket as us, but that's about where we are. And because we've had so many bad windows, and last summer was poor, Alanga's scored those 2 goals last night, but he hasn't really set the world alight for, has he, so far? His end product's still a bit poor, except for last night. Jacob Ramsey finally coming into his own. He's been excellent of late, so he's justifying the £43 million. Malik Chow started well, but you can see what Milan were meaning when they sold him. He's error-prone, those who watch Serie A a lot. And Aaron Ramsdale, will we pay the £4 million for him? I don't know, but I still feel we need a very top keeper for to even compete. And then Johan Wissa and Voltemada. I still want to keep Voltemada. Like I said, I feel there might be a place from here. He needs a pre-season. Vissa's just been a disaster for that £55 million. So yeah, but I am proud in that the squad for 4 seasons have got to 2 Champions League campaigns against the odds, especially in the first season after the takeover. And then they've got to 2 cup finals. We've ended with 70-year domestic trophy drought, and they've took further than any other Newcastle United team has been in the Champions League before. So that's why I don't want to criticise them too much. I'm not really angry. It's just more disappointed in how easily we collapsed, because it was wretched second half. Let's admit it. But I even watched there before I came out before Simon Jordan's take on what does it take for Newcastle United to be elite. He's someone who polarizes opinion. He's not someone I tend to agree with, but he is right. The club need to do more. Ross Wilson's talked about a big summer window. That's going to be needed, because this squad, as I said, have done well for 4 seasons, but I feel like their cycle's come to an end now, and a big overhaul's needed this summer. We need a top keeper, top right winger, top striker, top centre backs. We need that, a creative midfielder as well to unlock teams. We need all these players, and we've got to do more. Jordan's right. We need the infrastructure, because he says it opens up so many opportunities. We need a new stadium, or to expand St James's Park. We need the new training ground. Everything that's not subject to PSR. We need all this, because if we don't do that, then we're constantly playing catch up with all these other clubs. So that's just where we are right now. We're always going to be that club who were in 7th behind the so-called top 6 in terms of revenue, because we've done well and we've bloodied some noses this season, beating former European champions in Benfica, PSV, and then we've lost in Marseille thanks to Nick Pope's error to the 1987 winners, the year I was born, in Marseille. And then we should have won at PSG when we went to Parc des Princes, and we'll give Barcelona a great game over here and played well for 44 minutes last night, or 45, whatever you like. But yeah, it just shows that while we've done well, Barcelona still levels above, where their technical quality, their pace, their power, honestly, they are just levels above. Just the way they can just take a game away from you. But it's the technical quality on the ball. We can run and run as much as we like, but your players will eventually tire, and Barcelona are that good they can just pick you off. So this is what I mean. We've got that gap to bridge, and Barcelona are just light years beyond us at the moment. But look, that squad, I'll come back to it. Like I said, they have done well for 4 seasons. Even this season, though, we've lost 34 goals in Isaac last summer. And we've got players who haven't settled into the squad, or we have Voltemara, who was, I think, a panic buy. Wissa's injury was mismanaged. He hasn't hit the ground running since he's come back. Yet they've still got to an FA Cup round of 16, losing to Manchester City, who I still think being the best team in the league the last 14 years. They've got to a Carabao Cup semi-final, again losing to Manchester City, no shame in that. They currently have 9th in the league, but everything has to go into the league now to try and get European qualification. And then they've got further than any other Newcastle United team has in the Champions League, to the round of 16. So, and there's no shame in losing to Barcelona. But look, I will say, yeah, of course it is. It is embarrassing that we did concede 7. Of course it is. It was chastening. Like, you shouldn't be conceding that many in a game to any team. I know Barcelona are capable of it, but yeah, but again, yeah, I'm looking at it and say it was embarrassing to concede 7, but there's no shame in going out to an elite club like Barcelona. But yeah, massive overhauls needed this summer. Ross Wilson needs to put his actions where his mouth is. And David Hopkinson's interview on TalkSport, where he said we'll be a club who has ambitions to win the league by 2030. Well, yeah, I seriously doubt that after last night. We need news off the pitch in terms of the training ground. Has that been approved? Are the spades, are the diggers in the ground up Woolsington? Are we getting a new stadium? Why does that keep being delayed? I know there's red tape. I've done a video on it last summer, but there needs to be action, because till we start closing the revenue gaps, clubs are just going to come and pick off our players. You've seen all the stories lately. There's ones doing the rounds for the last month. BBC Sport keep just going round in a circle with Bruno, Gordon, Paul, Livramento, Tonali, and now it leaves big question marks that we're out of Europe and we're not going to get it via the league this season. That will we keep some more best players? It's a big question mark, and Tonali's agent won't shut up. He's making so much noise about his player wanting to go, his client. So yeah, it's just frustrating, but I do feel we're at an impasse with this squad, and sentimentality needs to go out the window. But we now need to make ruthless decisions, and players who either can't offer anymore, are too old, or the surplus to requirements, or they want to leave. We just need to go, off you go for the right fee. But we just need players to be here who want to be here, try and push one to that next level. But it just feels so frustrating that we're in the Champions League, out the Champions League, in the Champions League, out the Champions League. It seems like it's just this never-ending cycle, and it'll always be the case until we start getting action off the pitch in terms of a new stadium and a new training ground. So yeah, I am proud of the lads and what they've done, getting as far as they have, given Barcelona a game for a game and 45 minutes. But at the end of the day, elite, ruthless teams with superior technical quality, power, pace, that was proven last night. They put us firmly in our place and showed who were the top dogs in the food chain. So yeah, it is frustrating, but now we've only got the league to concentrate on, and it's the derby this Sunday, and we can't feel sorry for ourselves. There can't be any European hangover, because we need a white-hot atmosphere. We need to back the players as much as they can, because it's unthinkable if we lose 2 games to Sunderland. It just cannot happen, because it's been unbearable since December when they won, because my office, I've said before at work, sort of a regional office on the quayside, and there's a smattering of Mackems in there, and they've made my life unbearable since then. So we'll owe them this Sunday, and we need the right attitude, right performance. And this could be the best or worst game for us. I don't know, could it? It could be the best game ever in terms of we've got a game in another 4 days, and it's the derby. You don't need any excuse to get up for a derby, especially against that lot, but it could be the worst as well. Will the players be lifted by Eddie Howe? Will that defeat affect them, or will they use that to drive them and push them on to smash the Mackems? Because yeah, that defeat hurt last night, and we're going to get lots of ridicule, of course we are. It's a joint biggest defeat, as I said, for an English club in the Champions League. So yeah, we need big hearts and a big performance on Sunday against that lot, because we cannot lose 2 games to Sunderland in a season, because we think it's bad now. But if we're going into an international break, well, as it stands, it'll be a 21 day gap, depending on how Palace do tonight against Larnaca. If they win, then the game will be moved to the Sunday on the 12th. That'll be exactly a 3-week gap, because we're not in the FA Cup. And that'll be a long time for players not in international duty to stew over such a bad derby defeat. So we can't let that affect us. There's no shame, as I said, going out to Barcelona. And now we need big hearts, the right attitude, the right performance. The crowd will be up for it. We need no excuses. We know what this means. It's the battle of the region. It's pride in your club, pride in your city. You cannot lose to this lot at St James's Park. We want to prove that we are the North East top dogs. We always have been, and we need to prove we are right now, and we always will be. Because Sunderland don't know what Europe is. Sunderland think you need a passport to go to Cardiff. I mean, they've only been in Europe 4 times, and Newcastle United have now been in Europe 152 times. So that's just the gulf. But yeah, that defeat hurt in December. Voldemort, I said, that's still the best service he's had all season. And look, I don't want to use a Steve Bruce quote here, but I've seen a lot of comments saying we need to dust ourselves down. But you know what? Sunday is that massive. It needs no introduction. It's the Tyne-Wear derby, and we have to win for our sake. We have to, because if we can somehow put a string of results together, use this Chastening defeat to motivate, we could have an outside chance of still getting some form of Europe. But yeah, there's no excuses for Sunday. We've just got to win at all costs. That's it. Go out on that pitch, give your all, die for the badge, and just beat that lot. Shut them up, because they're laughing at you after last night. I mean, and rightly so. If any team concedes 7, I'd be doing it too. But it does hurt, and we've got pride, and we don't like seeing our club humiliated like that. So we need big hearts and a big performance on Sunday. Now, before I wrap up, who would I give my man the matches to? Well, it's hard when you've just been smashed that heavily. But I mean, who do you think? Because I'd say my top 3 would probably be Harvey Barnes, because he was involved in the first 2 goals, even though he's pretty much anonymous after that. It's hard picking through this. Lewis Hall, he was good attacking wise. So I'd say, yeah, Lewis Hall 2nd place, even though he's given a torrid time, unlike last week against Lamine Yamal. He turned him inside out. And my man the match, despite him having some poor touches and running out to play in the first 15 minutes, Anthony Elanga got the 2 goals that give us the hope to cling on to and made we think we could get something. and it's just a shame that his 2 goals have been overshadowed by Barcelona scoring 7. But let me know what you think in the comments. Who would be your man of the match after last night's result? What do you think this does for the rest of the season? Do you think we can still get Europe via the league? A lot will depend on the derby this Sunday. And do you think Eddie Howe got it right? Was he right to start Kieran Trippier ahead of Tino Livramento? Because Kieran Trippier as well was given an absolutely torrid time. He was destroyed by Raphinha. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments anyway, and what does that do to your mood ahead of the derby on Sunday? One last thing I want to actually mention before I wrap the video up. What do you think our exit from Europe will do? Do you think we'll be able to keep the likes of Tonali, Livramento, Bruno, Hall, Gordon, or do you think that it won't be enough to entice them to stay if we don't have Champions League football? And should they move on if we get the right offer in for them that'll help the club reinvest? Or do you think Europa League or Europa Conference League will be enough to entice them to stay? Please again let us know in the comments. But I'm going to wrap that up there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back at the weekend with my preview for the Tyne-Wear derby. So please do like, please do share the video, please do subscribe, and if you want to be informed when the latest videos are uploaded to the channel, click the bell and change the settings to all. And also to help the channel, when you're not in full screen mode, swipe right on the comments and click hype and give the video hype points. That'll really help me out. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll give you one last shot down there of Tynemouth, Longsands and the North Sea. It is beautiful down here today, despite how minging the last night's result was. So take care everyone. See you at the weekend. Bye bye.